Hey everybody,
Oh, hi.
we are not at our house.
There's a special little guest back here,
What's he doing?
dressed up like a dinosaur.
Yeah, we're not at our house. We are actually in Gatlinburg,
In the Smoky Mountains.
Smoky Mountains. We took a little trip. They opened up the national park here in the Smokies. And
We had this trip planned in February, right?
yeah, we had this trip planned for a long time. We thought we were going to cancel it, and then just last weekend they opened up the park, and so here we are, and we're, yeah, just hanging
In a
out here a
little
little bit.
A-frame cabin.
It's really cool.
We have seen multiple bears run across the road right in front of us, which is a little scary, but
They're
also
black
cool.
bears, not grizzlies.
They're only black. They're only the black bears.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight we want to talk a little bit about what it's like when you don't have everything together financially. And Linda was talking to one of her friends the other day who's just kind of talking about this and feeling guilty. And
She's like, she has her life together health-wise, and I don't.
she has a lot together in her life.
She has a lot.
She's one of those women who you're like, man, you got it going on.
How do you do it all?
And
Yeah.
she was saying that she felt guilty that she
Yeah.
hasn't been able to devote the time to her finances, right?
Even though she's like not an overspender, like
Yeah.
she's not in any debt, you know, all that stuff, she still like feels guilty about it. And I'm like, why would you feel guilty about that? But also, I mean, and what she said was she owns her own business, and she's trying to bring a partner on with her, which is, it's not, it's a more intense, right, wouldn't you say, situation than
Yeah.
most other, her business is a,
Trying not to give too many details
Too many
away because we
details,
haven't
I know.
talked to her about sure it is.
but yeah, it's just pretty intense for her to bring a partner on. And she was doing like renovations in her home. She's single, so it's not like she has someone else that she can be like, we'll tag team, you do this and I'll do this. It's like,
Yeah, so she's
pretty much
carrying
all
the
her.
burden of a lot of different things. And
Yeah.
anyway, point is she just felt guilty that she wasn't really on top of it financially and just
able to
had
devote
everything
all the
going
time
on
to it, yeah.
like she does in so many other areas of her life.
Yeah, and
And-
I've kind of felt guilty a little bit too, more so for just not being as knowledgeable, and maybe guilt's the wrong word, but just felt like
Yeah.
silly or something.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
And I think the point, or I think the reason we want to talk about this is just to give you permission and to just encourage you that it's okay that you don't have everything figured out all the time. You know, this is why we're here to do what we're doing. It's the same reason that you go to a doctor or you go to a coach to get better at the thing you're doing, knowing that there's certain phases and seasons when you can devote a lot more time to it and
Yeah.
others when you can't as much. And that's perfectly okay. Like, that's
Yeah.
okay. We're not all, life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and we're not always in this like full on, you know, Dave Ramsey's approach to paying off debt and the rice and beans thing where it's
Right.
like, I'm all in, you know,
Yeah.
and like that. And I think there's a time and a season for that in certain people's lives and certain situations, but you can't live your entire life with that level of intensity in all areas of your life.
all areas, right?
You know, so you have to pick and choose, and you have to, you know, and honestly, this is where I think prayer and being led by God on what you're supposed to do when is really important. Because yeah, we've had seasons in our own I mean, because the financial component has always been so interesting and fascinating to me and something I'm really interested in. Like, this has always been an important part for us, but
Yeah,
even still, the amount of importance, if that's the best way to say
Right.
that, has shifted and changed over the
hierarchy.
years at different points.
well, yeah, honestly, in February, when we took our sabbatical, you were like, I'm so excited to get caught up on stuff.
Yeah.
Because you really enjoy it. And so he was doing stuff like calculating out how much each of our meals cost. Like if we go eat out or if we make it at home.
Yeah.
Like pizza, eating it out or making it at home, which one's cheaper and stuff like that. Which was so funny to me. I'm like, do you enjoy this? And he was like, oh yeah. It's like just the stuff that he hasn't been able to do. because over the last year, like normally he would just be doing this stuff, but
On a
over the
regular
last
basis,
year
yeah.
we had
It's been a
a new
crazy
baby.
year. Yeah.
We moved. We started homeschooling. I started working more. I mean,
Whole
it was
bunch
just
of things, yeah.
yeah, a lot
It's
of
been
stuff
really
happening.
busy for us, yeah.
And so yeah, that was not top priority for you, even
Yeah.
though it's not only something that you do for a living, but you love it. You
Yeah.
know, it's
No,
like
absolutely.
got both components.
And so yeah, so we're spending some of that time playing catch up on some of these things.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really important to us, you
Yep.
know? And still, it wasn't able to be top priority.
Right.
So yeah, and I think there's just a lot of people, a lot of really high achievers, you know, and this, I think what we're talking about here isn't for everyone. I think there are some of you who might need a kick in the pants, and
Yeah.
know if you need a kick in the pants, and allow your pants to be kicked to move forward when
Right.
you need that.
'Cause,
But
yeah, this is not just an excuse. We're not like sitting here trying to give you an excuse to not move forward. But at the same time, like I feel like listening to, you know, people who talk about finances all the time, or people who talk about decor all the time, or you know, any cooking and health, any of the expertise, it comes across like you're not doing enough, and that
you
is
can,
just
yeah.
that just feels, you know, overwhelming to me, where it's just like I have to do all of these things, and I have to do them all really really well, or I'm a failure at life.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to put your efforts towards one thing. A couple of years ago, Alden, this guy, had some health stuff going on. And I'm telling you, I put all my efforts into that. I mean, all of them into, yeah, changing the state of his health. And it wasn't like a terminal disease or anything like that. But there are some people dealing with stuff like that. And yeah, that's just what you have to do. So, I mean, what's great is we have, since this has been a top priority for us, and since you do love it so much, like we have so many resources to, if you have a little bit of time to devote to it, you know what I mean? It's like we have shortcuts for you, and that's hopefully what you can get from us, is that you don't have to be doing everything the way we're doing it, but you can always use our shortcuts if you need them, right?
Yeah, and I think the point is I mean, our approach to this whole financial thing, yeah, I never want anyone to leave our videos or our articles or whatever, anything we produce, and feel this heavy-handed, oh man, I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not, whatever, like financially. Like our goal is to make it uplifting and encouraging, and make it something that you feel like is accessible, something where you feel like, man, I'm getting little ideas of things that I can do here or I can do here that wouldn't be a huge deal, but it actually might make a little bit of a difference. And that's kind of the approach that we'd like to take, much more of a grace-filled approach rather than a you're not doing enough, you're a failure financially,
Right.
and this is why. And I think especially when you bring God into the equation, I think it's really easy for people to feel like, yeah, like God's not happy with the way I manage my money, and therefore I'm a failure. And again, like God is for us.
Right.
God is our biggest cheerleader. And when I understand, like, again, coming back to little guy over here, when the amount of love that I have for him and how big of a cheerleader I am for him, like when I like take that and think of my Heavenly Father and what he's thinking about me. And so even though I feel like I'm messing up on a lot of stuff, like he is my biggest cheerleader. Like he wants us to succeed, and he is so tickled pink by all the things that we're like, well, that wasn't that big a deal, you know? And he's really excited about it. So when I think about it that way and frame it through the lens of grace, it's a whole lot easier to, I don't know, to just be comfortable with where I am on my journey. And I, would encourage you to do the same. And yes, I think we should always be growing and moving forward, but being able to stop and stand where you are and look around and say, all right, I am who I am by the grace of God. This is where I am. He's helping me move forward. I'm on a journey. I am moving forward. Like, that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Man, you said it. I don't have anything to add.
wish I had a microphone. I don't know if that's a mic drop moment, but why not? So anyway, yeah, we just want to give you guys a little bit of encouragement here. We don't have a whole lot more to add there. It's something that's been on, I think, both of our minds a little bit. And like we were talking about at the beginning of this, Linda's friend just made us both realize, all right, we need to drop a little bit of encouragement bomb here with this. So anyway, so with that, if you have any questions, we're doing it on our phone tonight.
I know. I'm
And
wondering
so,
if we can pull it up on here.
I don't
and
know
see
if we're
we
even going to see any
can
comments.
See the comments.
We're going to try though. And got this little icon.
This was a.
Chat icon. Yeah, I just saw that one.
that's
I don't
the
know
one.
where to go though. All messages.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Do you see them?
Remember to. Oh.
There we go. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay. So there's just a couple.
Okay, great. All right, Angel says, you guys are great. Thank you, Angel. I already saved a couple $100 and in the second round of interview as a VIP kid. Awesome. Yeah, so VIP kid was, we talked about this in a couple different videos, but wait, VIP kid. Now I'm like getting them confused. So many of these different, it's a way to earn some extra cash. And why don't you tell us, Angel, is that the one where you're teaching English lessons? Is that one? So yeah, you can let us know in the comments because I honestly don't remember. Ooh, look at this. We can change. You want to go black and white? Or what about this one?
Wait, I don't know if you guys follow us on Instagram, but Bob and I had this
Oh yeah, there we
Zoom
go.
call the other day.
There we go.
It was like a business. It was a serious call. And Bob went to sign in and there was like, what was it? It was...
So on Zoom, what you can do, this is kind of fun, I like this. On Zoom, what you can do is you can put like a background behind you. And so I was playing with that one day and didn't realize that I'd saved it. And so what it was, I'm sorry, we'll just go black and white.
Yeah,
That's cool.
okay.
That's classic, right?
Anyway,
so I'm playing around with Zoom while I'm not on a call, and there's this background thing where you can change it. And so I started putting goofy stuff up there. I think I don't even know. But anyway, I ended it with putting just a picture of myself, like pointing at something. And
so it was like
I forgot that I did it.
Picture of Bob.
And so we're getting on this call, like I'm signing on
You're
literally
like,
1 minute
oh my
before
God.
with the book publisher. We're trying to get this book deal. And
Oh my gosh.
and I didn't remember how to get it off. And anyway, and so I'm like, all right, let's go for it. And then it didn't show up. So it was like, it's fine. But it actually would have been funny. It was pretty
It would have
funny.
been really funny, but
Anyway. That was our fun for the day. But for anybody who's curious, yeah, because some of you have been asking about the book. Yeah, everything's going really well, and I'm hoping to have some news really soon, probably within the next couple of weeks about everything. I can't really share anything yet, but we're getting really excited.
really
lots
excited.
of new developments are coming out about the
Yes.
book and kind of the direction and the concept and everything. And it's evolved a lot, and so we're kind of pumped about that. So anyway,
Yeah.
all right, let's get back to these things. How do we see them? Oh, yeah,
there we
they're
go.
there.
Okay.
All right, teaching kids in China. That's what
that's
Angel
so
said.
cool.
So that's a VIP kid thing. Yeah, it's just a great side hustle. I think we might have talked about that. We just did a podcast that went up a couple days ago about 5 Corona-proof side hustles, and I believe that was one of them. So yeah, anyway. All right, Natalie says, I never speak up on these things, but here I go. I'm giving my niece my 2007 Honda Accord for her 16th birthday in September, so I need to purchase a car this summer. Still typing. Well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Giving your car away. That's pretty
That
baller.
is really, really cool.
That's pretty
I
cool.
love that. And then we'll wait to hear what else you're still typing.
Have we given...
We've never given a car
Never
away.
given a car away. We need
It's
to
on
get
our
on
list,
that. We
though.
need to get on that.
That's on our list.
It is on our list.
We have talked about it a couple of times, but it just never ended up happening.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Paula
typed
says-
it, Natalie.
Okay, let's see if I can find it. Okay.
Okay, that's the one. Hi, little one. I see you. Jesus loves you.
That's you, little one.
Alden, somebody's talking to you.
Do you want to say
You wanna
hi,
come say
May?
hi?
Hi, babe.
May.
May. Bay. You're so cute.
We love this little kid. Alden, what do you want to say? You don't know?
Sing a song.
No.
Are you excited to be here, bud?
Yeah.
He was pretty pumped about being in the mountains.
What did you see on the way here?
We saw
Bears.
like as soon as
Two
we pulled up
bears.
into the national park, because you got to get to the national or drive through to get here where we're staying. It's like the bears start running across the road. He was pretty excited. I was too. I've never seen bears like that. That's pretty fun. Anyway.
Hi, cute and handsome little guy. That's what they're saying to you.
Isn't that fun? So yeah, hope you guys are all doing well tonight. We're excited. I actually just got a text that popped up over here. We're meeting up with one of my heroes and mentors, Chuck
Yes.
Bentley. He's
Chuck.
over in Knoxville, which is pretty close. So we're gonna
And
try to meet
Ann,
up
his
with
wife,
him. Yeah,
who's also amazing.
yeah, we're gonna try to
Super
meet up with
sweet.
them. So we're really excited about that. So anyway,
Alden, somebody said you did a great job on the fizzy video.
yeah. So anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, we made water kefir. We have this in our Instagram stories. Actually, it's probably gone now. I can probably add it as a highlight if anybody's
Yeah.
interested. But
It's 5 minutes long though. So.
we made water kefir, which for anybody who doesn't know, this is a pretty hippy dippy thing. But it's like kombucha. If you know what kombucha is, this is like even more kind of obscure. But it's a little bit less fermented than kombucha. And it honestly tastes like soda.
It's
and
got a soda flavor, yeah.
Since it isn't super fermented, but it's also very carbonated, like we can trick the kids into giving it to them, and
They
they
don't
think
really
that
ever
it's
get soda anyway, so they're tickled pink at
Yeah,
the
so it works
water
great.
kefir.
And
And they call it fizzy.
we call it fizzy in our house. That's what we
Alden
call it.
was what Alden called it.
Yeah,
Because it is fizzy.
it is very fizzy. That's
Mm-hmm.
for sure. All right. So, any questions we can answer? We'd love to talk about anything.
So sweet.
And
Oh man.
we're really loving this place we're in. It's kind of like Chip and Joe,
and Joe,
kind of
yeah.
designed it a little bit. I mean, very Chip and Joe style, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody needs a place to stay in Gatlinburg, I don't know, we'll
Oh,
recommend
man.
you to this.
This is super sweet, Paula. I love watching y'all. You're Southerner, huh? Very informative and relaxed while giving us your barefooted priest for real experiences. Thank you for sharing. Man, that is a huge compliment.
Thanks, Paula.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
We saw a comment, right?
Yeah, Natalie, she said she typed it all and I don't see it. Girl, do you want to type it again? Oh, okay. Hold on. Love the channel.
Sorry, we're trying to get caught up here.
I'm financially comfortable and my main money guilt is adding to my savings and not giving enough. Or when I do, it seems like a routine. Any advice? Yes.
Do you want to start?
Sure. There is no guilt in giving. Okay, so since Jesus came, we no longer live under any kind of law, and it is all just an opportunity. So any guilt that you're feeling is not from God. So
Romans 8.
there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus will set you free from the law of sin and death.
I'm just pulling scriptures up as we're going. Why not?
So yeah, you do not need to feel guilt and know that that guilt is not coming from God. He's not the one putting that on you. So once you realize that, you can be like, okay, that guilt is actually, it's not supposed to be there. What God does since Jesus came and fulfilled the law, what he does is all those things that were in the Old Testament that are good for us to do are now an invitation of blessings to come back on us.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
So it's like we have 2 rules, which is love God and love each other. Those were the 2 rules, the new rules that he gave us. And everything else is between you and the Lord, which is beautiful. Obviously, there's things like don't murder. Like there's a lot of things that are talked about in the Old Testament, but those are so that we can be blessed. Like those are things so that we can be blessed.
2 Corinthians 9:7 says this. I'm trying to find the best translation here. Let's do Amplified. Let
Okay.
each one give thoughtfully and with purpose, just as he decided in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver and delights in the one whose heart is in his gift. I love that. That's how Amplified puts it. Delights in the one whose heart is in his gift. So, point is that, and this is part of like what we're going to be talking about in the book, is kind of, the grace-filled approach to giving, where like we believe in tithing, like we have tithed for a long, long time, but the thing that I have a problem with is when tithing becomes this law-based, like you are going to be cursed if you don't do this heavy-handed thing that just doesn't, like if you read 2 Corinthians 9 and then tell me that that's the way it should be, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and I understand if you're trying to live under the law, but Paul, I don't know where this is, I don't remember what this is, probably in, I don't even know, talks about like, if you want to live under the law, like that's not, anyway. So I won't even go there because I don't remember the details of it well enough, but read 2 Corinthians 9, and like if you're feeling that obligation and that burden to give, and it just really shines the New Testament perspective on what giving is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
anyway.
that's another good thing is go read 2 Corinthians 9 and use that when you give. Every time you give, if it's, 5 cents, like who cares how much it is, if it's a pack of gum or whatever, think about those verses and kind of let those soak in and, meditate on them, right?
Yeah, and one of the things I would add to this is there are so many times in Scripture where giving is likened to planting seeds. And this was part of why there are a variety of reasons why we named what we do SeedTime. We named our organization this. But, and this is something that it's been frustrating to me. Like we've had people, like random people, jokers on Twitter who just like start railing on me, calling us prosperity gospel preachers and stuff. And because like some of these verses have been used in an inappropriate way, like that doesn't make them not true. The fact is
still
that
in the Bible, right?
when we give, it is sowing, and as a man sows, he will reap.
Yeah.
Now, and so like that there's a true principle there that has to be.
Well, the Bible even calls it a law,
Yeah.
like the law of sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
Like you sow, you reap. Like that is the outcome of sowing, right?
Yeah, and and the heart posture to give is not just
reap.
It's not just to like view God as this slot machine where I'm just going to put money in just so I can get more out. Like that's the wrong motive behind it, and it's like we can't trick God. But at the end of the day, like He wants to reward us. That one Hebrews verse talks about he who comes to God must believe that He is, and He rewards those who diligently seek Him.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
Can you tell
all
me
that
you
to
love
say,
this subject?
all that to say, I think it's really important that you see giving the way it's supposed to be in the New Testament and what it actually looks like. And so back to the whole tithing thing, like for what it's worth, like we view tithing as an opportunity to step into a blessing and a promise from God that is available. And like I've seen this over and over and over again in our lives, like just that as a starting point. But that's a whole nother, like I could go on for hours about this, but that's a whole nother thing that I think it's great to tithe, but to just get to that point to tithe and then to say, nope, 90% is mine, 10, God gets 10, like that's also not New Testament.
Right.
Like it's really all God's. And we have to be open-handed with everything that He's given us and being ready for us to, for Him to direct us with what He wants us to do with whatever He's entrusted us with.
And one of our friends even went so far, and it really, the way she worded it was so good, but it's something that we know, but hearing her say it was she went through this journey with her career where she was top tier lawyer in Washington, D.C., corner office, the whole shebang. And she felt God calling her to work for a non-for-profit, which was going to cut her salary
For
down.
anybody who doesn't know, typically not-for-profits don't pay nearly as well.
Right, but she said up until that point, like they had been giving away 50% of their income, like all this stuff. They kind of had this like list of how awesome they were. And they weren't really calling themselves awesome, but they felt like, yeah, we're doing a great job,
Pride can creep in anywhere.
Just tiny bit, like I don't even think they had that muddy of a heart over it. But after she went through this kind of journey with the Lord, she said the Lord was saying, but will you give me all of it? like, will you give me your job? And she was like, I will give you my job. Are you asking me to? Like, I mean, she had to go through that process, which I think it just humbled her even more. But she has had so much joy out of taking this job,
Well, and God
way
has
more
used
fulfilled
her.
than she was before. And God has used her in a big way. Yeah.
God has used her in such a big way. Yeah, we should probably do an interview with her at some
We
point.
should absolutely do
And I
an
won't go
interview
into
with her.
everything that she's doing right now, but he's using her in such a big way in the job that she's in. It's really, really cool to see. But point is that the whole giving thing is a journey, you know, and God has like continued to stretch us in our giving, and yeah, like, and it's just been really, really crazy. And yeah, so like where we are, just so you know, and I'm not telling you this to brag or anything like that, because it's the complete opposite of that. But God called us to start giving our age as a percentage of our income. We were 31 years old. And like that was, I'm like, is that even possible? You know, like, but anyway, we stepped out and did it. I had no idea if we could sustain this. I didn't know if this would be like a 1 year thing. And we started doing it. We started seeing these miracles after miracles, you know. And it's like, I know that this isn't for everybody, but this is what he called us to do. And so we started doing it. We've been doing it the last 8 years. And we've had some high years and some really low, lean years where we're like, I don't know if we can do this. I don't know if we can keep doing this. But the interesting thing about it is that it forced, or at least this particular thing that he laid on our heart, it forced us to an element of tension between our income, because we had a couple years where we had a really good income and we just had more money than we needed. And it's easy at that point to just give 10% and just be like, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. I'm a tither. I'm doing the thing,
Right.
you know, and kind of get proud. And I feel like God's always going to be stretching us and calling us forward and just getting us a little bit uncomfortable, you know,
Well,
in all areas of our lives.
Yeah, because it's a reliance on him. Like, he never wants us to just be relying on ourselves
Yep.
for providing for our own needs, you know? Like, that's what it says in the Bible. It says that he will provide all of our needs. So, I mean, that can be anything. And I've been doing this, you know, a little bit of a study on El Shaddai, the name of God, El Shaddai, and it means all sufficient. And I looked up the word sufficient, and it means enough. And so I started thinking about, like, okay, if God is enough, what does that actually mean? Like, what are the things that I feel like I need? I need shelter. And it talks about he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide in the shelter of the Almighty. I was like, okay, that's great. And this is just off the top of my head. Like, I didn't even like study out these scriptures, but I need companionship. It talks about how the Holy Spirit is our companion. What else is in there? Food. It talks about how he is the bread of life, and the word is our bread, right?
Yeah.
And I started going through just some of these things that like we feel like we need, and how he is all of it. And so for us to put ourselves in a position where we don't need him anymore, I just don't know that
He's not
really
going to let us
get
get there.
there.
He's not going to. Like
he loves us too much to let us be in a place where we don't need him.
Yeah. And I have tried over and over again, not on purpose, but I
Yeah.
just keep finding myself trying one way or another. It's like, if it's through building a business that's successful enough that I don't really need God to get there, he's like, oh, you think that? I'm going to fix that for you. I'm going to bring you down a little bit, son. I'm going to humble you and show you. If it's that, I think, whatever, an income thing, like once we reach a certain income, or if it's enough money saved in the bank and it's an emergency fund, it doesn't
Yes.
matter. Like, he's going
Yeah.
to get us back to a point of dependence on him. So but we have the option of just kind of choosing to remain dependent on him rather than continuing to try to be independent. But yeah, anyway, this is a long answer to that question.
She also talked about savings, not saving
Yeah.
up.
So yeah,
To which we will also point you back to.
I think it falls under the same category.
There's
Like,
therefore now no condemnation.
and the
But
thing.
if you're not doing what you should be doing, use that as fuel. Like, if you're like, I know I should be doing this, I'm just being lazy and not doing it, then just be like, I'm not going to be lazy anymore. Like, you can do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can do hard things.
Yeah, I mean, and
Can.
I would pray about this too, and just ask God to help you. Like that's what's so great, is that He helps us to do the things that we know we need to do, and I just so appreciate that about the Lord.
He is good.
But yeah, do what you can do and trust in His grace with everything. And I think especially when it comes to money, and especially right now in the situation that we're all in, because so many of us are in impossible financial situations right now with with business disappearing or with losing your job or losing 2 jobs in your house, whatever the thing is, like there's just a lot of impossible situations that we just have to trust in the Lord. And I think that's what's really interesting about this time, is that there's such a high percentage of people who are backed into the corner and they have nothing else but to trust in God, which is actually a really good place to be. It's uncomfortable for a lot of us, but it is a great and fantastic place to be. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's try to get back to some of these
know.
comments. Yes, the video's
we're
in black
in
and
black
white.
and white on
What would you
purpose.
like? How about this color? Should we do this? Should we go back to the dance party? Wait, we got bubbles. You guys want to do bubbles?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
All right, we'll stick with this one for a little bit.
Okay.
We'll come back to black and white.
Looks like an aha video.
There we go. All right,
Sorry, we just talked for a long time about that.
man. All right.
I hope that was helpful and useful, because we're clearly very
I'm trying to
passionate
figure
about
out where
that.
the heck we are. So we're doing this on our phone
Oh,
because we don't
did
have
your
the regular
grains
setup.
grow?
Oh, May's asking about the water keeper. Yes, the grains are growing great. All
Yeah.
right, you start to answer questions or asking.
Paula, you're from Belfast, Ireland, but you lived 32 years in Atlanta. Y'all, all right.
That would be
okay.
so funny, taking y'all back to Ireland. I would like to hear an Irish y'all.
Okay, here's a good one. This is for you. I have variable income, and my budget keeps getting shot. I started being diligent about savings, set an amount 6 months ago, so that's great. But when it comes to expenses, I feel like I can't plan.
Yeah, it is. It's tough when you have a variable income. Yeah, and the best approach.
Hold on. My major pain point is for my children, extracurricular activities. Sign them up for swimming mid-year and find I'm stopping them for some months, and when we get back, they forget.
Yeah, so I mean, this is. Yeah, variable income is it's just a tricky thing.
tricky.
And the best way to do this, like I've written a little bit about this. I think we talk about this in the course too, probably. But the best way to handle this is to really just get an average for what your
Yearly
income looks
salary?
like what your average monthly income is. And to be honest, like in the current situation that we're in, like those averages are just completely thrown off, you know, because everything's different right now. So everything's up in the air. And so the best way to handle that is to just be as conservative as humanly possible on those numbers, on what you're estimating to come in. And I don't know what type of income you have, if it is something where it's still fluctuating month to month, or if it's just, you know, completely gone for 2 months during this whole COVID thing and then it's slowly coming back. But
It's COVID-19.
I can't call it COVID.
No one
I've
knows
been
what
calling
we're
it-
talking about.
Linda saw somebody call it Rona. I'm like, ooh, I like that. Let's call it Rona. So anyway, yeah, just keeping things as conservative as possible. I know this is easier said than done, but that is the best way to handle that, because it's human nature to think, oh man, all right, well this month went a little bit better. Whatever, we made $3,000 this month instead of $2,000 last month. So hopefully the next 5 months are going to be $3,000, and then we just spend accordingly. Like this is what almost everyone does, because it's so hard to be honest about what the future will hold. And we always tend to think that the next month and all the following months are going to be like they are. And it's just human nature. And so you just have to fight against that as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Okay, after an accident, I used all my financial resources, including 401k. By God's grace and generous provision, I now have almost 6 months in reserve.
Awesome.
Awesome. I have $8,000 to invest. Where would you start?
So I'm not a financial advisor. But what I will tell you is, we talked about this in a video recently. Just, I'm not going to go into much detail on this, so you can watch the other video about this if you want. But I'm pretty bearish right now, meaning that I'm not very optimistic about the stock market as a whole and everything that has happened, and the
I'm
amount.
gonna put Alden to bed. I'll be right back.
All right, you want to say bye real quick, buddy?
Yeah, you want to say bye?
Bye.
You gotta look at the camera, bud.
Look how cute you are. Show how cute you are, baby.
Give him a
Say bye.
dinosaur roar.
He's dressed like a
Okay.
dino.
He bought it. He saved his money and bought a dinosaur costume. And we were trying to tell him not to buy it because it's. Anyway, so anyway, I'm just not super optimistic about the stock market right now. Yeah, you can watch the other video. I have 3 kind of reasons why I'm like, anyway, all that, I'm not gonna go into it. I'm gonna save it for the other video. Check the other video out, it's on our channel on YouTube. But we've sold off a lot of our stocks. I have a lot of money in cash right now that we're waiting to reinvest on the decent chance that the market crashes a little bit. And so that's where we are and what we're doing. And so yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Watch the other video if you want more.
Should be right where.
Sorry, I'm going back up here now. You find it, hon.
It should have been.
Oh, there we
this was
go.
the last one.
Lisa says you are the farthest from the prosperity gospel. Never seen you preach that.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa. No, I had this guy on Twitter, man. Like, these people come out of the woodwork on Twitter. Like, yeah. Anyway, comes out on Twitter, like, and just like starts railing me, like cussing me out on Twitter, calling me all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't think you know what you're talking about, brother. And he said something that made it, yeah, he made some reference to the SeedTime thing. And I'm like, man, you're misunderstanding our heart and the way we do things. But anyway, but that happens. That's just comes with the territory. Anyway, where are we at?
I don't know. Okay.
We got a lot of comments here. Thank you all for asking comments. We're trying to get back here. A lot of you are asking about the black and white thing. Okay. All right. So Lisa says, I'm definitely in that journey. I used to be so much more generous with my tithing with no hesitation, but somehow in this place, I'm afraid because my salary has been drastically decreased. Yeah. So I'll just encourage you in this, Lisa. And again, go to God, pray about this, but man, every single time we get sensing, oh, it's getting scary out there, we should hoard a little bit and just really build up our savings and whatever, God always calls us to give more. Like, and yeah, so you go pray about that and see, but man, he has done that to us so many times. And every single time, like, God has come through, and we've seen so many miraculous things happen because of that. It's been really, really fun. And you know, and I'm sure plenty of you guys know this. Like, when you obey the Lord, like, there's no risk when you're obeying the Lord. It feels risky. It feels like you're doing something that doesn't make sense, but you are actually stepping into the supernatural realm, and the realm that is so much more real than the actual world that we're all living in, that we can touch and feel. And that's a great place to be, kind of operating in the supernatural with God on whatever he's calling you to do. So anyway, I apologize for the way we're handling these comments, because it's just really difficult for us to read them. They keep disappearing and scrolling back to the bottom. So anyway, all right. Homestead says they're sowing 4,000 square foot garden this year, and they'll reap the rewards helping our church and school families. That's awesome. 4,000 feet. We have about our garden of actual planting space is probably 250 to 300 square feet. And that's probably going to be a good amount for our family. We'll be able to give some away, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
4,000 square feet. That would be like probably more than our entire yard. If we planted our entire yard. But anyway.
Good for you.
That's awesome. All right. Let's see. Can you talk to us about wills and trusts? May, we did a video about making a will. It was like showing you how we made a will in 22 minutes, and how we did it for like $37, I think.
Yeah. it's
So check that one out. We talk about it a little bit. We
And
don't
you
go
do it in,
into
like 20 minutes.
yeah,
Did
it's
you already
really
say that?
fast. Yeah, we don't go into trust in that one. I don't really. Yeah, like most of our audience is not. We're we're trying to convince most of our audience just to create a will. Most of them haven't created a will yet, and so while there are a lot of benefits to creating a trust, I've talked to my accountant about it a good amount. At this point, we're just focusing on getting everybody to create a will. That's a really important thing to do, and it's incredibly simple. And we'll just leave it at that. But one objection that we get a lot about creating a will is, oh, I don't have any money, I don't have any assets, so it just doesn't really matter. And the reality is that there's more at stake here. So for example, if you have a pet that you love, like this is something that needs to be laid out in your will.
have children.
You don't want the government deciding where your pet goes, and like you don't want the probate courts like getting their hands on all this stuff. And not to mention, like, whatever you do have,
Car.
yeah, like it's going to get tied up. And this is most states. Like some states, every state handles this differently, and so it just depends on what state you're in the US. I have no idea outside the US. But you are making everyone else's life easier, your loved one's lives easier, just by doing this simple thing. So that'll be my soapbox. Go check out the other video for how to do it. We walk through how to do the entire thing. Let's see. I love the black and white. Looks like an aha video. Yeah, there we go. Great. Everybody's talking about the black and white. Maybe I'll just start shooting them all in black and white.
I know.
That'd be perfect. Alden is a cutie pie. Yes, he is. We love him. Do you believe in not spending your raise? No, not necessarily, Victor. But yeah, and Victor, I think you know this as well as anybody. Yeah, expenses rise to meet income. And I think we all know this, and I've had this happen many times. I haven't been in a job with a salary for a long, long time, but when every time I got a raise, I spent it before I got it, and soon after I got that raise, I actually felt like I had less money, and this happened over and over and over again. And it's like, where'd the extra money go? Where'd the extra money go? And so this happens to all of us. So I do think that one of the best things we can do is to, I talk about this in another video called the seesaw principle, where basically what you want to do is, as your income goes up, like lock your spending, lock your standard of living at some sort of spot here. Just don't keep going like this together. And even if this one is gradually going up, your standard of living, like just make sure your income is going up higher. And so there's a gap here between the two. So you're spending less money than you're earning. Like that's where we all want to be and where we need to be. If you want to move forward financially, like you have to be doing that.
And we had made some plans for our tax money, our tax refund, which we got back, but we literally waited until the money was in our bank account. Like it was like we got the check in the mail and we were like, great, we'll put this in, but we were like, well, we have to deposit it to this and then we have to transfer it to this. So it was like we waited all those steps to spend it until it was like actually in our account.
And that seems like it's splitting hairs a little bit, but spending the money before you have it, I don't know, it just erodes things. Like it just is asking for problems for so many people. So anyway, so I don't have a problem at all spending your raise, but I think it makes sense to use part of that raise to just not always raise your standard of living up to what your new income goes. View it as an opportunity to save more or give more or do something smart with it.
Okay.
Do you like monkeys or nah?
I don't know what that means.
Not sure.
I do like that monkey emoji though. I do use that one a lot.
This is Lourdes says, you want to say it?
Yeah, I have many stories of his provision when I didn't know how things would come through or be paid. Trusting him is key. That's so good. Yeah, amen. Love that. What did y'all plant? Oh, in our garden?
Yeah, we'll do a video of a garden tour once. Yeah, because I'm excited. So I've been gardening for probably 10 years or more, right?
Yeah. Yeah, about 2
Started,
years.
yeah, parking
Well,
around it.
yeah, it started with like tomato plants
Small.
on the balcony in the
Small
apartment,
garden.
you know.
Yeah, we did. We did get park in the apartment. For what it's worth, like I'm sure some of you maybe can do well gardening in like pots on like an apartment balcony, but man, I did terrible. We never grew anything there. But once we got some land and planted them in the ground in full sun, it was a little bit better. But anyway, so we've been gardening a long time, and I've tried something completely new this year, a method that is right up my alley because it is like the most efficient way of gardening you can possibly garden. It doesn't require any weeding. It doesn't require, it requires a whole lot less watering. It like naturally fertilizes the soil.
It is really funny.
I'm trying to think, like there's all these benefits, and it's like the easiest, laziest way of doing it. And so I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot and see. It's called Ruth Stout, her method. She was, I don't know, some gardener from a while ago, wrote a book years and years ago. And anyway, so that's what we're trying. And we'll do a garden tour at some point because we have a lot of stuff planted this year.
And we did do a little bit of it on Instagram.
Yeah, we probably put up a little bit. We'll put more on Instagram as well. So, so let's see. Okay, yeah, Paula says I saw the video of the garden. Yeah, so we're doing a bunch of things. We also planted a bunch of raspberries and blackberries as well. What else do we have? Oh, we just planted kiwis. We were at the nursery and Alden went and picked out a kiwi bush or kiwi plant.
Yeah.
Like, sure,
We got
we'll
some
throw it out there. We'll see what
raspberries.
happens. Why not?
Got some
Raspberries,
hydrangeas.
yeah. Yeah, we're planting a lot of flowers. Linda likes flowers. Do you want
flowers.
to show them your flowers?
Yes.
So
this
we
was-
just drove 4 hours a day, and she felt like she had to bring these because she was so excited about them.
Yeah, because they might be dead by the time I get home. So on Mother's Day, all I wanted was some flowers, and I was like, I knew that they had peonies, which is my favorite flower, at Trader Joe's. But Trader Joe's is like a half hour away
So we
from
had to
our
drive down, and then she had to stand outside like in a mile-long line, 6 feet apart from everybody.
And I don't even care. I was like, this is I wouldn't normally do that, but because it was Mother's Day.
Go get them.
They are.
So we're peony junkies. So she brought this bouquet in the car,
wish you could
and we got
smell
to
this.
sniff on that.
And then these are ranculas. And
We
then
grew
I don't know
those
what
this
these
year.
are, but they smell.
They smell like nutmeg. Does anybody
Really
know what these
good.
are? Yeah, really great.
They're interesting. So yes, these are my gorgeous.
So Homestead, do you know what these are? Those white flowers?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to
We
pull them
would.
up closer. Anyway, so yeah, I love gardening.
Yes.
Edible plants, yeah, a lot of edible plants.
Yeah.
Flowers and
So
edible
we have,
plants
like,
are pretty
what,
much
kale and lettuce.
it. Yeah, we're
trying to
growing
sprout some
Swiss chard. We're growing spinach.
spinach.
We're
yeah.
growing a whole bunch of tomatoes, some peppers. We're growing spaghetti squash, butternut squash.
Oh, we are gonna do potatoes.
I've grown potatoes a couple years and sweet potatoes. We'll probably do regular potatoes this year.
I was
I don't
thinking
know,
about it, and I
more
was like,
stuff,
maybe
too.
we should just make big like flower gardens too.
Yeah,
Do some more boxes and do flowers in there.
we can fill them up. That's cool. We got a lot of dahlias planted. I'm excited about those too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We have 5 peony bushes. It's just gonna probably be a few years before we get,
before they really
the
start
harvest.
popping. Yeah.
which is
So
okay.
anyway. All right.
All right. This is a
Well.
lot of gardening talk.
All right, we're gonna let you guys go. Thank you for coming to hang out tonight, and we'll be back next Tuesday, back in Franklin, Tennessee, broadcasting from there. Yeah. So have a blessed night, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Good night.
Adios.